beautiful people, and welcome back to Mondays with Mondane. This is where we dive deep into life, love, liberty, and democracy. And now more than ever, it's time for us to tell the truth. We're at a breaking point in America. Tonight, we are diving into an urgent and necessary conversation. We're just 3 weeks into this administration, and already, well, 4 weeks, I guess, the consequences for marginalized communities are staggering. This is not business as usual, folks. We're just not having a discussion. We're having a call to action. We'll talk more when we get back. And my living won't be in vain. We have reached a breaking point, people, and the rising hate, exclusion, systemic oppression, all this happening against marginalized communities, it can't be ignored anymore. I'm honored to be joined by my guest today, Edgar Navas.
Hello, Pastor. Thank you so much for the invite. Glad to be here. An honor to be here.
This is a champion for equity, justice, and economic empowerment. And together, we'll unpack today the urgency of the call for the community. I think of it as taking it to the streets and listening to the sounds of the sidewalk. We got to stop fighting separately. You know, that's what they want us to do. They want to pit us against each other and have us suspicious of one another. But this ain't going to work no more. They've been doing this for a long time. So the stakes have never been higher than they are right now. So. And inaction is longer, it's no longer an option. We got to do something.
Absolutely.
So what's the urgency? Hate is out of control. We're witnessing an alarming surge in hate crimes and discriminatory policies and political rhetoric, and that emboldens division. From attacks on voting rights to the criminalization of diversity, those in power are waging an orchestrated war against our communities. And this is not paranoia. We're not playing the colored people's card. They took it away. It's reality. Now, the question is not whether oppression exists. The question is, how do we fight back effectively? I'm going to start with 5 must-dos, and I'm going to have Edgar tell us about, from his perspective and his work, what those 5 must-dos look like. And I've not made him abreast of what those look like. I just wanted him to answer cold, straight up, okay? We have to build a united front. That's what we're going to have to do. So tell us about how we do that, Edgar. Welcome.
Thank you. No, and I completely agree. You know, the first thing that we can do, and without using when I hear fight, but it's more uniting, you know. And you say, what's a united front? What does that look like? It looks like all of us banding together to work as a community. You know, whether you are in a small town or in a small neighborhood, or the larger setting where you have, like, you know, your blacks, Latinos, LGBTQ, etc. All of those belong to certain communities. But I think what we can do better is, like you said, banding, because what we want to do is row together in the same direction and not just get splintered by, you know, small differences, in my opinion. So that's the first step that we need to do. Come together.
How do we do that? Do you see, or can you think of, and I'll be thinking at the same time, but I want to hear you. I want to hear I'm a black man born in America, and I'm doing a piece right now on the criminalization of black men just by looking at them, okay? How do you see, from your perspective, what we need to do first to draw this, you know?
I think, you know, that one of the first things is what we're doing right here.
Okay.
Sitting together, because, you know, that's what we do. We try to self-segregate, for, you know, lack of a better word. We tend to just gravitate towards our orbits of influence, or our normalcy is like, I want to be with this group, I want to be with that group. But this is what we need to be doing, having those conversations, breaking bread and post shines, for example. Let's sit together, share a meal, and talk about this, but the next call to action. But have something that is actually actionable.
Okay.
Not just leave it at like, well, let's get together and make new friends. That's fantastic. Get to know each other. What are our plies? Because in a lot of those instances, we're going to learn that we have the same fights, we have the same injustices, and we have the same goals. All we want to do is, equal economic prosperity for everyone.
When you talked about post shines and et cetera, while you were talking,
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, prior to us recording tonight, where I was thinking, well, we got to do something for the dead night. So I opted for the twofer. So I think 2 nights a week, what I want to do is partner with a Mexican restaurant or Latino restaurant, or and we're going to offer meals free to two people that would come and just dialogue. We'll work that out. So
Yeah,
I want to put that on the table.
And it's like opening up a house. Like, come, neighbors, join us. And not just have to share a meal. Let's have these conversations, for the betterment of our community. And in this case, I'm talking about the local community here, North Portland. It's very specific now. Kenton, we have our issues. I mean, we're all neighbors,
of course,
but we don't know each other. So the first thing we can do is band together, and work together. And that means really, taking the veil of like, hey, let's not just gravitate towards our sense of security.
Yeah.
The people that you normally hang out with and talk to, and they're going to agree.
So we have to get uncomfortable.
We're going to get uncomfortable sometimes and like say, hey, you're going to hear things that you didn't want to hear, or you didn't learn in school because, that wasn't the way it was taught. So you're going to hear from firsthand experiences, and I think that's the more valuable.
And you can ask questions, which
absolutely
took us to number 2, is to create cross-cultural barriers. We've already done that. Latinos, Blacks, Asians, Jews, and indigenous communities must move beyond performative allyship and build authentic coalitions.
Yes.
Like we're talking about tonight. This means amplifying each other's struggles.
Yep.
So how do you see that playing out?
Oh, in many fronts.
Okay.
The first one that I would see, I've given this a lot of thought, but, probably the best example is just making those coalitions, like I mentioned, actionable. What do we want to get out of this? And really ask the questions, why are we here? What are our main barriers to success, and how can we solve for that? It's just like a mathematical equation. You get X plus Y equals C. So without that, I don't think we're gonna move forward past the, hey, let's get to know each other and keep spinning the wheel and lamenting our lives and all the barriers. But
so you're saying that? Explain to me what you mean. From step A, and now we're in step B.
For example, action like right now. There's a lot of, you mentioned there's a lot of funding that's going away from DEI, communities of color, and that's affecting communities in real time as we speak. What can we do to solve for that? And that's actionable. So, well, let's really band together, have some accountability, and consume from each other. Like you mentioned, let's,
So we're going to eat together,
and spend our money together.
And then we're going to do what now?
It's spend the money together.
Okay.
And then, bring others to the table, to the conversation.
Right.
With dollars. Because that's an actionable item.
So talking about dollars, what are the dollars going to do? Tell me, what we're bringing dollars. What does that look like?
So the number one, that will stay in our community. We all know, and we're all guilty. We get comfortable with not mentioning it, but services that go against our own interests. And I think it's really time.
It's important
that we look. Where do we really spend our money, and how the money contributes to our own demise?
So now you hit it right on the head, talking about spending minority dollars with minority peoples and shaking it up.
Yeah, because ultimately what we want to do, and we've seen it, through even before the start of this administration, our businesses are suffering. They've been suffering since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Minority-owned businesses. I think it's
Since
time for
before
us
the pandemic.
since before the pandemic, and then with the pandemic, it got accentuated. With all the barriers to accessibility in technology and financial services, et cetera.
That's stuff that we have to be careful about
Yeah.
that we've never had to be careful about before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Jeez. Let's move a little bit. We just talked about it, reclaiming our economic power. The marginalized hold trillions in collective spending power, yet
Yes.
we often invest in systems that oppress us.
Us. Yeah.
We've got to support business that invest in our communities, people that look like us, talk like us, walk like us, and advocate for economic policies that uplift us and use boycotts as a tool for change. We're not taking it to the streets anymore. We're letting the streets
Absolutely.
come
It
to
just
Congress.
quietly-
We're letting the streets come
Yeah.
to Senate. We're letting the community come to our houses and our places where we shop. Take over local and national politics is the way to go. And what is our first step in terms of interning ourselves to take over national politics and local politics? How do we do that?
And you hit it right. With economic power, then comes political power.
Yeah.
But the first one, we need to realize that we do have it. We just can't see it because we're like we're just a little speck of salt. But if we band together, it's like, now it's a mountain of salt. So we can make a difference if we start investing. And it's not spending; it's investing in our own communities. So instead of spending your dollars at a larger corporation that then funnels that money to candidates or policies that directly affect us, and it's we're shooting ourselves in the foot. So
And be
we'll rather-
serious about it.
and be serious. And that's what I said. We have the means to find out which corporations, which individuals, go that route. Like, it's so easy right now to say, well, then let's just move the needle somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Let's move our dollars. Let's support Potion. Let's support our local vendors, our local coffee shops. I'm a huge advocate for that, actually. Wow. Rather than spending my money in a corporation, I want to give it to my neighbor. Because I know that money, it's being used to better our little community, not even the larger Portland area, but just our local community. And we need a greater degree of accountability, personal, and then within our families to say, you know what, guys, we're going to make these changes. Some of them might be uncomfortable, but it's not as uncomfortable as, war or family separations. It's just a minor inconvenience, maybe, to go from one shop to the other.
Power is never given. It's taken.
It's taken, yes.
And we've got to vote. We've got to organize. And people like you ought to run for office.
I'm not sure.
If we don't control our narratives and our policy making, others will continue writing laws that strip us of our rights and takes away our dignity. And we have to establish a permanent coalition for change. Okay, so let's go back in our conversation a little bit. We've established the fact that we need to sit down and talk together, know each other, understand each other's problems, and listen to each other's politics.
Absolutely.
And then we need to gain a respect for the policies that are being represented in the city government and in the state government. What's benefiting us? So. Getting groups of people that share information with each other about what's coming and showing up at the city hall meetings and showing up at the state capitol and making sure that our coalition is represented strong,
right,
and that everybody has the information and pushing people to go in that direction.
And that we have a seat at the table.
That's a tall order. So I guess we have to do that by first just getting together and starting with the first steps of doing so. This is not a one-moment struggle. This is a long-term battle for justice. We need institutions, alliances, and movements that work beyond electoral cycles. organizations that ensure our voices remain at the center. Like you said, we have a seat at the table. If we don't have a seat at the table, then we make one.
Yeah.
And we bring our own lawn chairs, right? There's a lot to unpack. And we've talked around these issues. Now, we're going to do some homework, Edgar and I. And we're going to come back in a very short time. And we're going to talk about this conversation that he and I are having together. And when we come together again in the next couple of weeks or so, he and I are going to have come up with a plan to start with us.
Yes.
And how we're going to dictate that. And, well, dictate, that's not a good word to use these days.
But, or how can we set up a blueprint for everybody to replicate?
Yeah.
Something that's actionable, measurable, and that's easy to provide. Like, here, this is how we did it. This is how you should, not necessarily how you should do it. This is a recipe. You put your flavor to it, but this is the end result.
Yeah. You know what? I think we just gave ourselves some more work. But it's worth it.
And it's necessary.
And it starts there. And it only takes a spark to get a fire going.
Yep.
And soon
and just a little flame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find it out.
This is a call to action. It's a beginning, not an end. And if you're listening and wonder what you can do, here's where we start. We're going to come up with something that's tangible, and we're going to offer it to other people. We're going to show you how we did it when we come back. This is a great thing. We have to join movements together, like the Unsettling Force, where action meets strategy and communities unite for real change. We have to support local organizations and community leaders, push them forward. The fight begins today, right now, this moment, right at home. I want you to challenge yourselves to break down barriers, reach out to allies across racial and cultural lines, and start conversations that lead to action. Edgar and I had a conversation tonight, well packed up, but it led to an action. And refuse to be silent.
That's the worst thing that we could do. Just be silent and complacent.
Yeah. Silence is complacency.
Silence is complacency, yes.
Yeah. We have to voice our concerns. We have to cast every vote. And every dollar that we invest matters. Spend your money at home, babies. Edgar and I are here tonight because we believe in a different future. One where no community is left behind. But belief alone is not enough. It takes work. It takes commitment. It takes all of us. Now, the question becomes whether we will fight or will you join us? We will not be divided. We will not be silent. We will not let history repeat itself. We, you, I, together, Edgar, his people, my people, we're the unsettling force, and we will rise. Thank you for joining us tonight on Mondays with Monday. And I want you to keep your heart, your mind, and your spirit clean and free, and let your power come resiliently without apology. Tune in next week or the next time you hear us, because we're all over the place right now. And as we move forward, stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay united. Echo, so glad to
Thank you so much, Pastor. A pleasure.
And we're coming back.
Yeah, we're coming back with a plan.
With a plan.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Because we're people of action.
That's right. And we need you. A shout out to our sponsors tonight. Poshine's not just another restaurant, but somebody that is going to give us some free meals for this fight we're in. It's an institution. It's located at 8139 North Denver, right here in the Kitten District, and you can expect the best soul food this side of the Willamette. And we've got aunties and tanties daycare services right around the corner. Leaving your kids with them is just like leaving them with your mama. We got Adorn Electric. They really light up our lives. They've lit up this set tonight, and I'm grateful for all of their support on this podcast. You can visit me right here on Sunday mornings at Celebration Tabernacle in Portland, Oregon, 8131 North Denver. And I want to send a special thank you to our production team because they're awesome. Dion, Robin, Andy, and Paul, not one of them is bigger than the other, and they all stand tall. And guess what? I talk too much. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and followers. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing with Mondays to Monday, you know what it is, Mondays with Monday. Yeah. And be sure to follow us on Facebook. There it is right there. You got it, right? You see that big sign. And then YouTube, right there, right? Okay, and thanks one more time for tuning into Mondays with Monday. Remember, it's not just about the music. It ain't about the magic, but it's certainly about the message. Stay tuned. You know, I talk about a lot about knowing where you came from to know where you're going. Well, I came from the projects of St. Louis, Missouri, and I ended up into the majestic mountaintops of Portland, Oregon. It's been a wonderful journey, and Lewis and Clark took that journey from St. Louis to Portland, and I took it too. It talks about who I am, and as I'm with you often in the in cyberspace or on websites or on the, what do you call it, social media, I want you to know a little bit about me and who I am. This book talks about my fantasies, my failures, my triumphs, and more than that, it talks about the resiliency of being able to continue to go forward regardless of the odds. I'd get a copy. It's called From Maladies to Melodies. And I hope that you enjoy it and give me some feedback. God bless.
Hey, it's time for you to come to Post Shine. Check out that catfish sandwich. Oh my goodness, is that the shrimp po' boy? Man, look at that chocolate chip cake. Man, I need to get over to Post Shines at 8139 North Denver right now because this food looks delicious. Or call if you'd like, 503-978-9000. And don't miss it, you'll be sorry.
In times gone past, we find ourselves making excuses so that people reminded, ooh, I've got to get home and tend to the brand new business. I need some time alone. Can't just wait until I'm finished texting on my phone.